Crops are the most important food sources for us to survive, and farming is the way that we get the crops. For farming, soil is life. If the soil is too infertile for crop growth, problems will come. As the world is developing and becomes more and more urbanized, how does it affect the quality of soil and also the vegetation around us? Besides cropping, we're concerned with the quality of soil during planting, and it seems more related for us as modern citizens. Moreover, soil quality affects the vegetation in countryside for our refreshing leisure activities that we cared about. Since soil is very important for us, how can we understand the quality of soil around us? And why do we need to buy fertilizers for pots? Is darker the soil, the more fertile it is? In order to answer all these questions, we're going to conduct an experiment to find out the soil quality. In our experiment, we used the two following scales in order to measure the soil quality. The first one is salinity, which means the dissolved salt content. The second one is conductivity, which indicate an object's ability to conduct electricity. Our hypothesis is that the higher the soil conductivity is, more the salts inside the soil, and thereby the more nutritious the soil is. For the experiment, we need a lot of equipment as shown. Also, the soil samples collected, they are the dirt from schoolyard and the potting soil. Firstly, take about 50 ml of each sample into beakers. Then, add 250 ml of distilled water into each sample through a measuring cylinder. Stir it after that. Prepare the filtering bed by covering it above the filter funnel. Let it to sediment for 2 minutes. It is then ready to filter. Collect the fluid filtrate thoroughly. Transfer it to a taller beaker for later measurement through the conductivity meter. Also, 250 ml of distilled water is prepared as a control experiment. Repeat the above steps. The 3 samples are ready for measuring. The conductivity meter shows the conductivity of the sample. Record the data down in the data sheet. Rush the apparatus afterward, and repeat the measuring procedures for the remaining 2 samples. The results are all obtained.
The conductivity of distilled water is very low, which is 1.9 microsiemens. Distilled water is sterile and still there are some ions in the water. We consider the value of distilled water as a standard one for an extreme low dissolved salt content. Meanwhile, the conductivity of dirt from schoolyard is 134.7 microsiemens, which is much higher than that of distilled water. At the same time, the conductivity of the potting soil is 218.1 microsiemens, which is nearly a double of that of dirt from schoolyard.
As we have mentioned before, the higher the conductivity is, the more salt the sample contains. Obviously, from the results, we can conclude that potting soil has more salt, while schoolyard dirt has less salt. Why is that so? Let's see the characteristic of the potting soil. Potting soil contains pieces of dead plant materials and microbes. When the microbes digest and decompose the plant matters, the nutrients inside the plant matters return to the soil in the form of ions. Like the situation in countryside, where leaves and other plant material falls onto the ground, microorganisms will similarly digest the plant matters. That's why, in this experiment, we can treat the potting soil as those from countryside, and we can conclude that soil from countryside contains more salt and thus more nutrients. So, how about that in schoolyards? As schoolyard is inside the urban area, where it's more exposed to pollution, so that it is more difficult for microorganisms to survive. Therefore, even there are foreign plant matters in the soil, the nutrients on the dead plant matters hardly return to the soil. Thereby, dirt from schoolyards has a lower conductivity. Therefore, the plant normally grow worse in urban area than in countryside.
Based on what we find out from the experiment, potting soil, or the soil from countryside, is more nutritious than dirt from schoolyard, as it has a higher conductivity and thus salt concentration. So, there is no wonder why the urban citizens would specifically buy potting soil just for planting. That's why fertilizer become a necessity for planting, due to the deteriorating of soil quality in urban area. As we mentioned before, soil is life. The soil with good quality enables the supply of abundant and nutritious food to support our life. It is not just the matter of whether the plants in urban area would have flowering or not. It is very closely related to our survival as human beings, and thereby the soil quality should always be considered.